Hi everyone, my name is Harriet Green and I've been asked to share some thoughts on how and why organizations need to focus on providing a more holistic experience for employees throughout their lifetime of work, from hiring to retiring. I'd like to start with a quote by the Irish playwright Oscar Wilde. Yes, him of The Importance of Being Earnest fame, or An Ideal Husband, not the quote, be yourself, everyone else is already taken, or I can resist everything but temptation, but the quote, a cynic knows the cost of everything, but the value of nothing. And I start here because today I'm going to be talking about the world's most important asset and its value. That is us and our human capital. This phrase, human capital, is often measured by skills and educational attainment, by our capacity and competitiveness, and attributes that enable and influence us to be productive and happy. These two elements are mutually inclusive, in my opinion, in getting very, very powerful outcomes. So I'm going to start with the factors that determine our productivity and happiness. I'm then going to go to what are the outcomes from this extraordinary vortex of change that we have been going through. Thirdly, what I think we as humans want in our places of work now. And then finally, what then must those who create the employee experience, what we need to do, particularly as it pertains to these changes in this huge vortex of new things. So let's start with the factors that determine our productivity and our happiness. And these inputs come to me from mentees, from business coaching, from my work around Mission Beyond, and for the boards that I sit on, particularly last year, the EDB of Singapore, which is the most competitive nation in the world. So what determines our productivity and happiness? First of all, no question, it's skills, life skills and more technical skills, but also work experience around different roles in the same company, different roles around the world, EQ and IQ development, and focusing on experiences that help improve our judgment, our work ethic, and then specialized practices. Huge emphasis on helping us to be more collaborative, more creative, and a deeper sense of inclusion. And I'm going to talk about more of this in a little while. So what are the outcomes from the huge vortex of change? And when I talk about this vortex of change, I mean the climate change, I mean the huge health change, as we've all experienced the global pandemic, the deeper focus on inclusion and entering a whole new series of tech epochs. So it appears that there is a real need, as we think about what people want us to do differently and better now, is really to embed purpose and values and a consumer grade experience in all aspects of our working life. Almost like a new social contract, much more human centric. Real requests for leaders to redo their leadership training, to really improve their understanding of inclusion. You will have seen great new series, videos that help us all to have a better conversation with a Black man. A course that I was looking at in some detail last week. And this improvement that all of us want to see in leaders, plus a greater focus on value for tomorrow, not just for today, the end of the quarter, but a sustainable value construct. Everyone is thinking about, talking about, and asking us as employers to build back better with a real core of strong ethics and well-being. How should we all behave as the best version of ourselves after everything that we have put ourselves through? And definitely a rise of these caring, enveloping corporations. Many employees asking their companies, what did we really do here in COVID? What did we improve as we come out of it? And what is the commitment and the promise of our brand? Then thirdly, having talked to many, read everything I can on this subject, what is it that we as humans want in our workplaces right now? I think number one, and at the core of deep inclusion, is that each of us can bring 200% of ourselves to work. That there is a deep ability in the workplace to feel that they matter, belong, and a belief in that brand, in that commitment, in that promise. I come back to the consumer grade experience as companies look to redesign organizations so that they maximize what we are good at. That is thinking, creating, and doing in a world of machines. Because this will change all of our jobs, all of our work, as AI permeates through into our workplaces and into the world of work. Many calling for a much more connected and digital world, as we've seen throughout COVID. And AI allows us to really share and create better outcomes for our teams and for our units and our organizations. And then a very strong voice that I have been hearing very loudly, certainly over the last 2 weeks, about fairness, transparency, and growth, personal growth, not just in compensation, but in overall development within that organization. So if you take all of those pieces together, finally, what then must we who create the employee experience, what should we now do that is different and better, particularly as it pertains to this massive vortex of change that has happened to us all in 2020? If we are thinking about Generation Z and millennials to perennials, then there is a big focus on more access to study and learning, internships, training, people saying, I want to do startups inside of my own organization. I want full acceptance around the 200% of myself to work around my family conditions, whether it's children or elderly parents. A lifetime menu, if you like, of commitment drawn down as you need it as an employee. And this is going to take not just HR, who of course are in an ascendancy as a skill set after COVID, but IT, central if we're going to get this consumer grade experience. Marketing, communications, critically at the top of that pyramid. Real estate, digital capabilities, and a real global experience. AI, cloud, blockchain, cybersecurity are all needed to be built into this experience, not only to connect us, but to protect us and enable our growth as individuals and in the collective. So as I return to Oscar Wilde to close, I'd like to use one of his extraordinary quotes, that success is science. If you have the conditions, you get the result. And our job as individuals, I think, is to be the change that we want to see in our personal growth by, for example, getting the skills that the world needs to be more successful. And what employers need to do, I think, is create these superb consumer grade, deeply caring environments that people want to join because they can bring everything that they are to work because of their age, their sex, their color, their creed, their sexuality, and cognitive ableism. So the individualizing and the personalizing of the intersectionality between these elements will help us become, I think, happier and more productive so that we get sustainable outcomes for ourselves, our units, our companies, our governments, and our planet. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.